press. And you've got a minute and a half to 3 minutes before you do your next bench. So I thought, what a waste of time in the gym. We have to roll off bench on the floor, and they'll do a back extension hold. So they're using a totally different muscle group, then they climb back on the bench. So they've had the minute and a half recovery for these muscles, all those muscles have been working. So effectively in the same length of time, we've done 2 exercises. So we try to use groups that can be put together. So we might do chins, and in between the chins I might go over and do some eccentric calf lowers. So we're using calves with the upper body and save ourselves a bit of time that way. Here's an example from general prep. As I said, this was from 2011. Bench press, we've got higher reps and lower weights. Sally's bench press PB, I think, is 72.5. She weighs about 62.5, depending on which phase of the year she's in, whether she's in competition phase or whether she's in let's eat a lot of food phase. So for her, that's pretty light weights, but we try to get a bit of volume in there. Split squats, 40 kilos is a weight that she can handle with the back, and we don't get much heavier than 40 kilos into the competition phase simply because her back can't handle much heavier. Physically, she's probably strong enough to do it, but we've just got to be careful with the back. Some lat pull downs. I've said 3 plates there because in our gym that's about 30 kilos. And lat pull downs behind the head, trying to get that nice postural position and get the good scapular control. Having said that, that's 2 years ago. Now I find they get better scapular control when they do the pull downs in front of the head. So I tend now to do lat pull downs front of the body rather than behind the body. Some other variations of double leg fit ball roll-ups. You can do them a single leg as well. Also works your core, works your hammies. These are the sorts of things that Sally was doing at that stage. Eccentric calf lowers. Okay, what do I mean by eccentric calf lowers? So I love to see blissful ignorance. Great, because I make up these names.
As an idea, the starting position be up high and slow.
Exactly. Why do we do it?
Lifting the muscle.
So I basically read some studies and I talked to a few strength and conditioning coaches, and they were saying that the tendinomuscular junction, if you do this eccentric work, it actually gives you a little bit more elasticity in there without necessarily losing any stiffness. So if I was trying to do pogos or drop down rebounds, you still get that nice ping. But by doing the eccentric work and having enough elasticity there, it minimises the risk of suddenly you've got an Achilles rupture. And the same sort of stuff for up high in the hamstrings, where you've got, again, the muscle and the tendon junction. Anybody's ever done a hamstring injury up high knows how long it takes to recover. So when we do hamstring curls, I remember years ago with my bad knees, one physio, excellent physio, basically said, those hamstring leg curl machines, they should be banned from every gym in the world because they are so useless and they get injuries and blah, 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 going off. But they're great for doing eccentric hamstring curls. Have a weight you can lift up with 2 and lower with 1. Lift up with 2, lower with 1. And so the hamstring's working eccentrically. So we do, I don't think it's on this thing here, we do, where we can, Romanian deadlifts. And funnily enough, Sally can handle Romanian deadlifts. The main problem she has with her back is when it goes into extension rather than flexion. And most people have got a back problem, it's flexion. I've got a back problem, so I'm a bit wary whenever I demonstrate anything with flexion. And hers tends to be stirred up the other way. So if she comes up the hurdle and hits the hurdle and gets into this position, that's when her back will be shot for a week or so. So Romanian deadlifts, same thing. If you're going down, you're getting that eccentric work on the muscles, and you're helping to strengthen your muscles eccentrically, and therefore that extra bit of flexibility through that musculo-tendinal junction. Seated rows. She doesn't tend to do seated rows anymore, but we do things like, I call them lawnmowers, basically kneeling dumbbell rows on the bench. Dumbbell rows. Why do I do those? Because when she's on the bench, with the hand on the bench, it supports her back. So we can still do the rowing action, which is like the drive of the elbow at the back when you're sprinting, but her back's supported. Adductor machine, one of those great machines where you get your legs out like this, and the girls who have been in the gym, they know that you always got to face them against the wall because it's not very ladylike, and strengthen your adductors that way. But as I said, I prefer the sumo squats anyway. And some cable exercises. We've got all sorts of different things you can do with cables. With Sally, at this stage, she was probably had spent about a year or more where we were really working on glute medius strength. So she'd had the little buckle around the ankle here, a low pulley, and doing this sort of action, working the glute medius. We can also do some I've got with my younger developing athletes where they might do one where the cable's down low and they're holding onto the other side of the machine here and doing hip flexor exercises. Then turn around the other way and we've got the pulley can be adjusted up and they hold on this one, put the buckle around here, get a nice sprinting posture and then fire the glutes. And we can do it as a technical thing too, so they start down here and as soon as they leave the ground, toes got to be dorsiflexed and under an eccentric load, get yourself into that sprinting position. So there's lots of variations you can do with cables that we've experimented with. Bench press in the competition phase. Now, if you saw the general prep phase, we're doing 10, 8, 6, 40, 45, 50 or something around that. The comp phase, you can lift heavier, 5, 4, 3. We're working on max strength now. When you're working on 5s and 4s and 3s, you're not going to be developing any muscle bulk. We don't need any extra muscle bulk. You're lifting heavier. So that stage 50, 55, 60. Sally had a real whinge at me this year when I had her doing a set. I told her we were sort of starting to cut down the weights and that sort of stuff, and I had, I think it was 6, 6, 4, 3 at 50, 55, 60, 62 and a half. She said, well, how come I'm doing more sets? Because once she starts getting stronger, we don't want to start the first set lifting too heavy before she's warmed up for it. So she can usually warm up at 50 kilos quite well. So I thought the only way I can get her lifting heavier but still make sure I'm happy with the warm-up is to start her at 50, give her 6 reps at 50 to make sure she's fully warmed up, and then I'm happy she's going to be safe if I do the 6-5-4 or 6-4-3 with the weights heavier. We talked about back extension holds. Now, they're not hyperextensions. Back extensions, you lie on the ground. The other girls call them penguins. So lie on the ground with hands by your side, and I tell them to pretend they're penguins sliding down the ice down in Antarctica. Just have the ribs sitting on the ground, hips on the ground, raise your feet slightly off the ground, raise your upper chest slightly off the ground. And making sure we're working on good strength in the lower back. And you saw double leg pit bull roll-ups before. Nothing, esoteric here or whatever. Most sort of exercise you'll see in most gyms. Bench blast, getting towards the more explosive part of the season. So the athlete here has her foot up on the bench, drives up in the air, goes backwards, lands the ground and stops. Puts the leg up, boom, trying to explode up into the air. They are quite explosive and they're quite fatiguing. You might do say 2 or 3 sets of 6 on each leg. And you're trying to get as high as you can in the air. Sally doesn't do those anymore. The driving up the air is no problem, but the landing, she's slightly off on the landing in the back, wobbles around, doesn't like it. We do another one now instead. I'm also trying to get that reactive strength. So we do donkey bounces. And it's one I made up, and basically you're hanging onto a bench. So pretend this is a bench. And Sally starts on one side of the bench and bounces across the bench, trying to get off the ground as quick as she can. And typical of Sal, she likes to get as high as she can. She says, doesn't matter if my hips get high. So she does it in the gym and basically goes into full handstand from each side. And the gymnastic background kicks in. And we had Andrea Miller over there on the Gold Coast at that stage. Of course, Andrea's got a gymnastics background too. So I've got these 2 girls over in the corner. Boing! Boing! And all the big beef boys, they all start to move away from that corner of the room. Do all their bicep curls over in the other corner because they have no idea why these crazy girls are doing these crazy things in the gym. But you can see what we're trying to do. We're trying to get quick off the ground. And the quicker you get off the ground, the higher your hips tend to go. And by being supported on a bench, it doesn't stir cells back up. Chins, we talked about chins. I think Sally's PB is 27, something around there now. And we'll talk a bit more about testing in a moment. We talked about the eccentric calf lowers. This is one we were doing back then for a postural position again. High knee march and med ball over the head. Again, maintaining a good, sorry, I was going to lunge then. The high knee march, just maintaining that good posture. Everything nice and up and down. When the leg gets raised, the hips don't come up with it. Haven't been doing those lately, but a lot of those you do it training during the general prep phase. And some of the things we might do in the second core session, side sit-ups, some reverse sit-ups, Russian twists, dumbbell side bends. I think I've got pictures of the first two. Side sit-ups, still with a partner. Reverse sit-ups. What the other two? Russian twists. I think you've all seen Russian twists where you might have to say medicine ball and sitting in a V-sit position and just touch the medicine ball to each side. Dumbbell side bends, a dumbbell each side. Or dumbbell one side. And so it works the other side. I'm going to talk to you about testing. So, if you're going to give somebody a strength program, you've got to figure out, okay, is it working? So you need a test. I thought, well, how are we going to test Sal? We can't see if her legs are stronger by giving her max squats, even max split squats, because we know it's going to stir her back up. So over the years, I've narrowed it down to about 4 exercises we can do. We do chins, not really specific, and that's how come I know Sal's chin best is about 27. When we do the chins, we're going to go down to 120 degrees. So it goes against what I was taught when I was a kid, but boy, there are lots of things I was taught when I was a kid that are just chucked out the window these days. Physios are basically saying that if you go all the way with your chins, where your lats come all the way down, they attach right down here in your lower back, and that was stirring Sal's back up, just the way she was doing chins. So he said, just go down to 120 degrees, it won't engage those really deep lower lats, and it won't stir her back up. So now we all do chins to 120 degrees. Straight legs, which means that as you go up, you can't do the wiggle up. And it's all going to be done with straight legs and just that. So as I said, you get at 27 now. And it's a good challenge, because she'll ask me all the time, what did I do last time? I did 26 last time. Right. So you know it's in her head now. She's going to do 27 if at all possible. Front planks. Now we used to test maximum front planks. How long can you go? And we had one bloke got out to about 8 minutes. We saw one little girl at the Institute of Sport got out to 10 minutes. She was a distance runner who's now, I think, she became world surfing grommet of the year, and she's ranked about number 3 in the world in surfing at the moment. Had no weight to her at all, but very, very strong to the core, and probably from all the surfing she did and all the paddling and God knows what else.
And named Sally as well.
Yeah, Sally Fitzgibbon. And I thought, well, that seems a bit ridiculous, because most of the time the athletes weren't complaining about how they were sore on the abs. They were complaining, my shoulders are aching, my elbows are aching. And I read an article about the tests that some physios had done on the United Kingdom's rugby union team, the English rugby union team. And these are great big animals that are going to be hit by runaway trucks. And so they had to decide what is strong enough in the core before we can say that these guys are strong. And they decided that 3-minute front plank was good. So that was good for me. It was good enough for these blokes who are built like trucks being hit by trucks to be strong enough. So 3 minutes. So when I test in the gym, I just time. You reach 3 minutes, you get a tick. You don't reach 3 minutes, so I write down what the time is and get a cross. Side bridges, 2 minutes. So it doesn't over-fatigue the athlete we're testing, but it gives me a target and gives them a target too. Sometimes in training we'll do more than 2 minutes of side bridges, but they know that when they test, 2 minutes, you reach 2 minutes, you get a tick each side. So chins, bridges, single leg box squats. They do them all the time, they do them in every gym session, so I thought, well, we can't load up Sal's back, why don't we give a single leg box squats? Work on the posture, as soon as the technique falls apart, that's it. But I had a problem when I had a triple jumper, and one day in the gym he managed 110 single leg box squats on his left leg and the same on his right leg. He couldn't train for 3 days. In fact, when he got off the box, he could hardly walk. So, well, that's a bit silly. What am I going to do? So what worked with Sally, and again kept the weight down, I weighed the athletes. Sally was 62 kilos, say. Halve the weight, got 31 kilos, and then halve it again because you're going to have a dumbbell in each hand. So they came 15.5 kilos, so the next weight below was 15. This is before Osaka when she was in super shape. So I said, okay, Sal, see how you go before your technique falls apart. And she reached 32 on each leg. And then she ran 12. Daegu, what did I say?
Osaka.
Oh no, before Daegu. Okay. It's Asian. So she reached 32, and then even though the technique hadn't fallen apart, she just said, oh, my legs are feeling pretty stuffed now. So I thought, well, since she ran pretty damn well after that, I thought, well, there's a nice standard. And then I started off with my other athletes, and the weaker ones couldn't reach 32. People like this girl from India we were coaching who just does every training session like you wouldn't believe. She reached 32 with good technique. So it became a nice target. So they now know, 32, you get the tick. Otherwise, I'll write down when your technique falls apart or you fall off, like my heptathlete keeps falling off the box because he's got poor balance. You fall off the box, that's it. And the other one's bench press. Probably the least relevant to sprinting and hurdling, bench press. And Sal asked that wonderful question all athletes should ask their coach all the time, and coaches should ask themselves, why? Why bench press? And this is where the psychology comes in. So I said to Sal, think about it, Sal. You go to the gym twice a week. Yep. Do you ever miss a session? No. So, if you're doing all the exercise I give you, yeah, and your bench press is better, what does that tell you about your strength? Your legs must be. Well, it must be better too. Exactly. So you do a bench press PB, and we know your legs are stronger. Works for her. She tries to do a bench press PB every time we go to the gym. It's difficult sometimes in different phases and all that sort of stuff. But it's a great test and it doesn't load her back up. She's still doing leg work with that, with the single leg box squats, and she's doing postural work there as well. But it's a good psychological thing for her too. So the chins and the bench press, which are up